First, we want to give our prayers to the family of Pastor Warren Beard. This is not the way they expected this story to end. They were holding out hope that Mr. Beard would be found alive, but tonight we were given an update here at the Rockdale Fire Protection District that Warren Beard was discovered in the driver's seat of his black Honda CR-V. That vehicle was submerged in 8 feet of water in the Des Plaines River, and the Will County coroner delivered that news to his family tonight.
We will move forward with whatever we have to do as far as the coroner's office. We will be doing an autopsy tomorrow. We will not have complete answers for at least another 8 to 10 weeks.
A license plate reader clocked Warren Beard's black Honda CR-V Sport going through the intersection of Larkin and Jefferson at 10:42 in the evening on July 2nd. The SUV was then picked up twice after that. Then 5 minutes later, video footage shows the vehicle entering the Des Plaines River at Brandon Road and Illinois Route 6. That was at 10:47. Chicago police were working the case, and that's when they were notified that a flock camera used to search for endangered or missing people went off, showing the car went into the water. Rockdale police searched the murky river where they found the car and human remains were inside. But still, there are plenty of questions of how did the vehicle go in when the bridge remained up for an entire year and a half and the entrance was only 68 inches wide because barricades were up.
We have had people go around the barricades in the past, but then they realize the bridge is out and they turn around and come back. So unfortunately, the video we saw was just a car coming through on the side angle and going into the water.
Beard was in Joliet visiting a friend, Emmanuel Davis. He had been Beard's friend, he said, since they were teenagers. Davis told me that Beard showed up in the 400 block of Broadway in Joliet to hang out with him. That was on July 2nd. They went to the casino in Joliet. Beard drove back to the house on Broadway and eventually said that he was heading home. Take a listen.
We met up with my friend. We sat there for a minute, and I think about 9 something, we went and picked up our other friend. Warren was like, all right, man, it's getting a little late. So it's probably around 9:30, 9:45. He was like, man, it's getting late. I'm finna go. Warren came back in. He thought he had left his phone here. He didn't. He ended up finding his phone. He used the restroom. He left the bag, the garbage. She was like, I made sure he pulled out.
Now, a fisherman did say and reported hearing a loud boom on the night of July 2nd. He was out there doing some fishing, but he said that he didn't see anything. As for the next steps in this investigation, Chicago police will handle the investigation from this point on. Illinois State Police, they will handle the investigation into this crash. And the Will County Coroner's Office, they will give an autopsy result, including toxicology report. That could take anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks.
The son of a woman who donated her body to science is now suing the company that handled her remains, alleging her severed head was used to retaliate against an employee.
Dane Blacko is here with details from this disturbing lawsuit. Dane?
Yeah, disturbing it is. Elaine Herman was 95 years old when she died back in 2020. Now, before her death, she made the decision to donate her body to medical research in the interest of advancing science. But her son says what happened to her body after her death is shocking and abhorrent.
I just thought somebody needs to be accountable. We can't just say, these things happen. No, these things don't happen.
Lawrence Santow of Chicago says he was contacted out of the blue last year by a former employee of the Anatomical Gift Association of Illinois. That's the company that handled his mom's remains when she died 3 years earlier. That former employee, Dale Wheatley, had just gone public with appalling allegations about bodies intended for medical research instead being mishandled, abused, and allowed to rot. Wheatley also said someone at the association placed 3 dismembered human heads at his desk in what he believes was retaliation for his whistleblowing. Santow says Wheatley reached out to him to tell him that one of the heads was that of Santow's mother.
I just thought, how could this be? How could anybody permit this? And as soon as it happened, Dane, I thought, well, surely my phone's going to ring any minute, and the director of the AGA or the head of the board of directors, somebody's going to call and say, we're so sorry this happened, Mr. Santow. But nobody ever did.
Now, Santow has filed a lawsuit in Cook County Court against the Anatomical Gift Association, accusing it of negligence and causing emotional distress.
I hope that no other family is treated this way. I hope that AGA will revisit and revise their practices to ensure that this never happens again.
We reached out to the Anatomical Gift Association of Illinois by phone and by email. So far, they've not responded. The lawsuit also names as defendants a number of Chicago area medical schools that make up that association.
Buying Delta 8 weed is kind of like buying drugs off the street. It's impossible for the consumer to know exactly what's in it. Like marijuana, Delta 8 gets you high. Unlike marijuana, it exists thanks to a loophole in federal law and is sold without any kind of testing or regulation. One Illinois resident says she wishes she knew that when she bought it. Delta 8 not only altered her conscience, it changed her life.
Every parent's worst nightmare. Something you can't unsee. I would not wish it on my worst enemy.
Lori is a resident in rural LaSalle County and recounts the day 4 months ago when her daughter had a full-on psychiatric meltdown after ingesting Delta 8 weed that she purchased at a gas station. Her daughter was lost in a hallucinogenic fog for weeks.
Wasn't my daughter. It was like someone was standing there with a light switch, flipping it on and off. 1 minute she was angry, 1 minute she was sad, the next minute she was a little girl crying and singing little girl songs. She had no control over her own body.
You were in this hallucinatory state literally for 2.5 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. I felt like I was in a movie, and every day when I woke up, I had the people that I was hallucinating were like saying season 1, episode 2, season 2, episode 3.
Lori and her daughter asked us to conceal their identities. Her daughter says she had used medical marijuana to cope with PTSD. She mistakenly thought Delta 8 was the same. A doctor diagnosed her with drug-induced psychosis. The only drug found in her system at the time was Delta 8.
It wasn't laced with anything. We just think that it was an extremely high dose that triggered this hallucinogenic effect.
Lori's daughter spent nearly a month in the hospital before being transferred to an outpatient facility. She says she's recovering now thanks to a variety of psychiatric medication and especially thanks to the help of a service dog. Dr. Stephen Axe is a toxicology specialist at the Cook County Health and Hospital System. He says the particular danger with Delta 8 is that what you see on the packaging isn't necessarily what you get.
We don't know the dose, the quantity, and you'll have a range of effects, and it's not predictable because we don't know what the dose is.
There have been nearly 9,000 cases of Delta 8 poisoning reported to National Poison Control Centers in the last 3 years. 41% of those were children below the age of 18.
There needs to be regulation of these products. Period. End of sentence.
The Illinois General Assembly considered but ultimately failed to pass a ban on hemp-derived weed products like Delta 8, thanks to furious lobbying from hemp retailers. But Pritzker says lawmakers should make it a priority in the coming months.
I think that you're going to see movement on it in the veto session in November or perhaps in January.
The hemp industry says it would welcome the same regulation as legal cannabis shops, but the legal weed industry wants Delta 8 run out of town entirely.
There's 800 pages of regulations that regulate the licensed cannabis industry here in Illinois, and there's none that regulate these stores that are selling products that are intoxicating from the same plant.
Charles Wu owns a legal Delta 8 cafe in Bucktown and says the stalemate has pushed businesses like his to self-police to root out bad actors like gas stations and head shops.
We are currently in the process of developing standards and even the labeling and the packaging, so there might be the equivalent of, you might say, a gold star or a checkbox of, hey, this not just a good hemp product, but it's been tested, it's been third-party verified by a reputable source. There's an enforcement, an industry internal enforcement body that is verifying these things. These products are going to be tracked and traced. All the things that are important to enable responsible use.
Lori and her daughters say they hope their story can spur lawmakers into action, whether it's tough regulation or an all-out ban.
We either regulate this stuff or we get it completely taken out of stores because it is something that can be very detrimental to people.
I feel that the people that are actually selling it don't realize what they're selling and what it does to people's lives. It had turned our whole lives upside down.
Downstate Illinois Congresswoman Mary Miller has introduced an amendment in the 2024 federal farm bill that would ban hemp-derived weed products. But that has yet to be considered in the House or Senate.
The victim is a lifelong Chicagoan, 63 years old, just trying to get home from work Monday night on the Orange Line after he says a 12-hour workday when a group of kids got on his train and he became a target.
This was surreal. I think I was just so shocked. I think I kind of went numb.
Michael Manning was heading home from work Monday night on the Orange Line after 11 when at the LaSalle Van Buren stop downtown, a group of kids got on his train car.
I knew right away that this was not going to go well, no matter what I said or did.
He says nothing happened until
I stood up, and I'm 6'4", and I guess that was not a good move because I immediately got punched in the back of the head, which sent me forward into the group, which of course they were like, oh, you're trying to start something with us. And then it was like I was literally running through a gauntlet of fists.
He says it was a group of more than a dozen boys and girls.
They just pounded on me. And I don't know. I just kind of knew I had to get off this car to not die.
He was able to get off one stop later at Quincy, but the group followed and continued the assault. They left him bloodied on the platform, stealing only a few of his belongings before jumping back on the train. He says it could have been much worse and hopes the next victim escapes like he did.
I don't understand how you can have this type of lawlessness and wanton disregard for basic humanity, and there's no checks and balances anywhere.
He adds that he won't be taking the train anytime soon. He says Chicago police is working to try to track down footage, as well as the CTA. We heard from them tonight that they're also looking for footage to try to track down these alleged assailants.
Dozens of Chicago area Mariano's and Jewel stores will be sold as part of the proposed grocery mega merger between Kroger and Albertsons. That includes this Mariano store at 38th and King Drive. The companies announced today they will sell almost 600 stores nationwide where they overlap. Kroger and Albertsons trying to ease government concerns over that merger right now. But in all, 35 stores in the city and suburbs will be sold. Most of them are Mariano's, but the list includes Jewel's in Chicago, Alsip, Palos Heights, and Joliet.
An inside look into Mayor Tiffany Henyard and the drama in Dalton. Streaming now at Fox 32 on Fox Local. Search Fox Local on these streaming platforms. Download and watch today.
Yeah, we actually have some good news to report tonight, Dawn and Scott, about the story of Daryl Lloyd. We first told you when he opened his tax bill, he was in shock. It showed $30,000 plus for the entire year. We can now report that number as at a little more than $2,000. So we got some resolve for him, but unfortunately, there were hundreds in line at a satellite assessor's office in Markham hoping to get their tax bill settled.
That's the original tax bill.
When you look at it closely, the bill Daryl Lloyd received was more than $29,000 for the second installment, meaning the property taxes for the year were more than $30,000 for this 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-story home.
I was shocked. Pulse increased, heart beating.
That's when Lloyd reached out to the news.
I tried other networks. Of course, I didn't get a response. Called Fox. Fortunately, they did. You guys' investigative team did do some research, and I was able to get some feedback the same day.
Fox 32 got on the job. That's when the Cook County assessor told us it was a big mistake, showing Lloyd's 960-square-foot house in Chicago Heights had a second story. He let us tour the place on Gardner Avenue, showing nothing else was built on this nearly half-acre plot of land.
I'm scared to build. I ain't even putting the shed back here.
Lloyd's property tax bill did go up from $1,800 in 2022 to $2,000 for 2023. He's already paid the amount owed ahead of the August 1st deadline.
I'm very thankful that my situation is addressed.
Lloyd can breathe easy, but homeowners in the south suburbs aren't all catching a break. The Cook County Assessor's Office inside Markham Courthouse had a line wrapped around the building. People in line questioning where were their tax exemptions and why their taxes are up.
I appreciate, the results that I got, but I have compassion for everybody else their journey is continuing.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, like Mr. Lloyd said, that journey does continue, and the Cook County Assessor's Office, they know that. That is why tomorrow night from 6 until 7, they will do a live Q&A. It will be on Facebook and YouTube at the exact same time. They'll be going over exemptions and also the certificate of error process. And if you are a homeowner and you're curious about your taxes, you have questions about your property taxes, you will be able to ask questions during that time as well.
And we are learning tonight that one person is dead. Police have not yet disclosed where that off-duty officer works, but what we do know is that no Elgen police officers were involved in this incident. The Kane County Major Crimes Task Force is leading this investigation. Around 4:30 this afternoon, neighbors tell us gunshots rang out near Walnut and National. Hours later, and as you can see, police are still here investigating. Evidence markers are strewn across the intersection, and most recently officers put up a drone as part of their investigation. Here's what nearby neighbors had to say.
I was in my house and I hear 3 gunshots. When I hear, I go to check in my window and I see one, I think, younger man in the floor. This is shocking to all of the neighborhood because this, like I mentioned, is a quiet neighborhood. Nothing crazy like this ever happens, and discussions are being held and taken care of quickly before it gets to these levels.
And again, this is all taking place in Elgin near State and National, along with State and Walnut, National and Walnut, both the same streets in different directions here. A large investigation. We do know there was a canine unit on scene tonight as well. We have not learned any information about the deceased individual or, again, where that off-duty officer is employed.
Well, South Texas is getting a look this morning at all the damage left behind by Hurricane Beryl. Fox Weather's Katie Byrne is with us this morning from Galveston. And Katie, you were getting battered around this time yesterday when we spoke with you. So how are things looking there today?
Well, Brian, today it's hot, and more than 2 million Texans are going on day 2 without power. We're expected to hit feels-like temperatures today of 103 degrees. So just to give you some perspective, we could only find one hotel on the island that has air conditioning. You can imagine they're sold out. People are trying to make those plans on how they're going to get through the next few days, and the power restoration is going to take a lot of work. You can see we've got dozens of downed power lines like this when you drive through Galveston. Officials warn it'll likely take a few days to get power fully back. So businesses are closed here for the most part. Traffic lights are out. Some homes are missing roofs. At least one here nearby is completely destroyed. Its walls ripped off from a likely tornado. Michael Magner lives in the neighborhood. He feels lucky his home wasn't hit that hard, but now he's preparing to be without power in the heat.
I anticipated it, so I put my thermostat down to 70, and I tried to cool the house down as far as I could before I would just have to open up the window. And you couldn't open up any windows, only certain ones, because the rain would just come pouring in.
Now, from here on the coast, the storm went through Houston, where we know officials confirmed the storm unfortunately claimed the lives of 7 Houston area people who live there. As it moved through, it also hit Louisiana, where 1 person died yesterday and 11 people were killed after Beryl moves through the Caribbean and Mexico. Right now, it's moving through Arkansas before it hits the Midwest later today, and we're seeing those winds die down here, so it's likely those power restoration crews can start getting up in those buckets and doing this work safely, whereas yesterday we couldn't get a lot of that work done because the winds were so strong across the state for most of the day.
Early May 2022, Eric Alfaro was just steps from his home in the Black Hawk Estates mobile home park in unincorporated Elk Grove Township when he was fatally shot. The 14-year-old was also just weeks away from graduating from Grove Junior High.
was one of those ones that's really difficult on many levels. It started with the fact that a 14-year-old boy who was just a very, very nice kid. From anybody talked to, would just tell you he's a super nice kid.
Sheriff Tom Dart says his investigators were able to generate several leads that led them to these two men, 28-year-old Aaron Bersinis and 23-year-old Julio Bernal.
We do have the two people that we believe strongly were the ones that did it with arrest warrants for them right now. And we're looking for any help in trying to find these two people.
In July of 2022, a Cook County judge issued arrest warrants for both men for first-degree murder and attempted murder. Dart says Bersinis and Bernal have been on the run for the last 2 years, and investigators have had little to no information to go on.
There was no indications of any other issues, that there was any type of gang affiliate, nothing. He was just a very nice kid. We believe there could have been some type of disagreement or not, but once again, Eric was a very nice kid. Next thing you know, someone shoots Eric in the head, killing him instantly. The car then takes off.
Aaron Bersinis is described as a Hispanic male, 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing around 140 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. Julio Bernal is described as a Hispanic male, about 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing about 130 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. Both men are considered armed and dangerous. If you see them, call police. If you have any information on this case, call the Cook County Sheriff's Office. That number, 708-865-4896.
More than 2,400 cases of water have been handed out to area residents so far today, and there are still hundreds more cars in line here in Ridge Park to collect their case. Starting last night, parts of Auburn, Gresham, Beverly, and Morgan Park will remain under that boil order until at least tomorrow morning. It stems from a failure at the Roseland pumping station, leading to a leak on a high-pressure water main. The station, which is more than 110 years old, has experienced its share of issues in recent years, including power outages and other failures. And while repair crews fix the problem, restoring water to affected homes, the Illinois EPA and the city's Department of Water Management are keeping that boil order in place out of an abundance of caution.
It's been kind of hard and everything because, I got 4 people living in my house. And the water, I got the alert and everything, and they told me that, we need to boil our water.
I noticed it when I turned the water on, and the water pressure was really bad. They popped this up right away, They weren't expecting it, but it's really good. It's very well organized.
Clean water is very vital to our health, and so the fact that, they have that issue right now is such a great thing that they're able to provide free water for the community.
Homes and buildings that fall under that order are north of 119th Street, east of Sacramento Avenue, south of 87th, southwest of Beverly Avenue, and west of I-57. Residents under that boil order need to boil their tap water for at least 5 minutes before consuming it. That goes for even brushing your teeth and washing your dishes, according to officials.
Now to a string of burglaries in the city, prompting an alert from Chicago police.
A crackdown on organized retail theft led sheriff's detectives to a near West Side store.
That's where they recovered their biggest haul yet.
It adds up to more than $2.5 million worth of goods, and they haven't finished adding everything up yet. Sylvia Perez is at the live desk with more.
Don and Scott, the store's owner and an employee, are facing charges after a Cook County Sheriff's Police investigation led them to their door. Sheriff's Police executed a search warrant last week, and Sheriff Tom Dart is talking about this today. Take a look at this. Just some of what they found. Sheriff's Police seizing designer shoes, clothing, fragrances, and several firearms. The store's owner, Darius Kelly, on the right, is facing a charge of felony theft, and employee Jerry Walker is charged with felony theft and aggravated use of a weapon.
As of right now, and we haven't finished tallying everything, we're at over $2.5 million worth of merchandise that we recovered from this store. This was they say, an undercover operation where we were sending people in to sell things that we told them was stolen. We would then go back in with a different undercover officer and buy the stolen stuff we had just sold them. So we were recovering the stuff, and everyone knew it was stolen.
The Cook County Sheriff's Office formed an organized retail crime team last year. This bust is their largest by far. Sheriff Dart says since the team was formed, they have recovered $3.5 million worth of stolen merchandise.
We're looking ahead to a big meeting in Springfield for state lawmakers. The first public hearing on a proposed merger of the Chicago area transit companies will be held tomorrow. Two Democratic lawmakers want to combine Metra and CTA and PACE and do away with RTA. The plan would let riders pay one universal fare for one pass no matter what mode of transportation they use. But the transit agencies have warned their systems are so distinct, a merger could hurt operations. The first public hearing is tomorrow here in Chicago. We have all that information on fox32chicago.com.
Want to know Chicago politics? Ask Paris.
Elections, conventions, corruption. There's a lot to get to.
Paris Schutz, the most trusted name in Chicago politics.
Making sense of the issues that impact all of our lives.
He's on Fox Chicago.
I'm Paris Schutz, and I get to cover politics in the world's most fascinating political city.
Find Paris on air on fox32chicago.com and streaming on Fox Local.
Let's get started.
The two biggest privately owned water utilities in Illinois are requesting rate hikes to the tune of an extra $30 a month.
If approved, the hikes would impact 1.5 million households across the state. Our Elizabeth Matthews breaks down the issue for us tonight. Elizabeth.
Yeah, these two companies, Don and Scott, are asking for a combined $271 million in rate hikes. But today here in Bolingbrook, lawmakers came together to challenge those increases.
We have families right now that are paying more in fees than in actual water usage, and that is just not right.
Aqua Illinois and Illinois American Water are two private for-profit water utility companies that have greatly expanded their service area.
In recent years, private companies have been aggressively acquiring municipal water systems across the state. Do not be mistaken. These buyouts are driven by profit motives, and the consequences for our communities are dire.
Since 2013, private companies have been allowed to pass their acquisition costs onto consumers, who've since paid $402 million for the privatization of their water utilities. State Representative Nabila Syed says she's challenging the $30 a month increase after her district suffered a water disruption last summer.
Pregnant women were emailing us saying they had no access to water for 5 days. There was no potable water. People didn't know how to bathe their kids. A rate hike, especially one this substantial on the heels of that failure, is absolutely inexcusable.
Aqua Illinois says their company, quote, has spent millions of dollars to improve the communities we serve through infrastructure enhancements. Our customers have not seen an increase in rates during that time, but Aqua cannot sustain these continued investments in Illinois water infrastructure alone. These increased rates are part of the solution to reduce the potential for outages to ensure our customers receive the reliable drinking and wastewater services they deserve. The decision about the proposed rate hikes will ultimately be up to the Illinois Commerce Commission. That decision will come sometime later this year. In the meantime, there are 4 scheduled public meetings where you can go and voice your opinion about this topic. The first one scheduled here in Bolingbrook on July 22nd. For more information on all 4 of those meetings, the locations, the times, find this story on our website, fox32chicago.com.
North Shore Congressman Brad Schneider becomes the 11th Democratic member of the House to formally call on President Joe Biden to step aside. He joins Chicago Congressman Mike Quigley, who made the call last week. In a statement today, Schneider says Biden would unquestionably, he believes, go down as one of the country's greatest presidents, but says the stakes are too high with Donald Trump leading in the polls right now. Quote, in passing the torch now, President Biden has a chance to live up to this standard and seal his place in history as one of the greatest leaders our nation and history has ever known. He can lead the transition of power to a new generation that can build a stronger party and a stronger nation. I fear if he fails to make the right choice, our democracy will hang in the balance. Now, this comes as Biden prepares for his first press conference since the debate performance 2 weeks ago, where he is expected to take questions about this week's NATO summit. But you know the questions will overwhelmingly focus on his health and his decision for right now to stay in the race. Democrats remain divided. Yesterday, Governor Pritzker said he still supports Biden. Today, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson vociferously rejected any notion that Biden should step aside.
This person has made it very clear that he has not accepted the results of the Civil War, and he wants a rematch. They are literally trying to resurface the Confederacy. What are we debating over? You can go with the person who has shown up for the people of this country, investing in cities across America, or you can go with the person who does not believe in democracy. The choice is clear. Biden-Harris.
Johnson referring to former President Trump there at the top. Now, Biden's press conference is scheduled for 5:30 Chicago time, as we mentioned. We will bring it to you in its entirety once it begins.
Taylor Casey was last seen in the Bahamas on June 19th and was reported missing the next day. She is well known in Chicago's LGBTQ community. She was in the Bahamas taking a yoga certification course. Her family is now urging the public to push elected officials to get involved and to leverage federal resources to investigate her disappearance. Soon after she went missing, her mother and friend went to the Bahamas to meet with police and came away with doubts about that investigation.
Oh, how I just yearn for that call today. I wonder where you are. Are you okay? Are you in danger? Are you sick? Are you hurt? My nights are sleepless with worry about you. I am lost without you. We all are.
Taylor Casey's family says that they're going to give Bahamian police a chance despite the Royal Bahamas Police Force's chief superintendent being placed on leave. They are now pushing for U.S. federal authorities to step in.
A lot of the dogs here at the Anti-Cruelty Society in Chicago have interesting stories, but none so much as the 9 rescued in Oklahoma, arriving here today. The canine caravan arrived by plane at the DuPage Airport this morning. More than 30 dogs, different ages, different sizes, and different breeds, but all sharing a horrible history. They were among 250 dogs rescued from a large-scale puppy mill in Milburn, Oklahoma last March, most living in outdoor cages in poor and solitary conditions.
These puppies were from a breeders, 2 of them, that were just keeping them in deplorable conditions, unsanitary, ill. They had to get several medical treatment.
How are you? How are you?
By noon, 9 of the dogs had arrived at the Chicago Anti-Cruelty Society's adoption center in River North.
I am giving them dewormers, so basically getting any worms that might be in their belly right now.
They'll have to get a physical exam by our veterinary team. We'll do all of their vaccines. We'll do spay neuter. We'll check to make sure that there's nothing else that needs to be addressed medically. We'll do behavior evaluations again. They weren't brought up in the best conditions.
They're expecting this could be the first wave of a large number of rescues this summer coming from the south, with an active hurricane season predicted.
Dogs are so resilient. They are. They're so forgiving of everything we do to them. It's so surprising. It is. Like the way they just learned how to bond again and trust again. It's just amazing.
Now, if you're interested in adopting any of the dogs from Oklahoma or any animal they have here at the Anti-Cruelty Society in Chicago, it's best to go to their website where they're all listed. These dogs from Oklahoma should pop up online in about a week.
Nascar reportedly generated $108 million in economic impact last year. That's with attendees staying at downtown hotels, shopping, and even patronizing restaurants. But some small business owners tell us they, in fact, lost money. We're talking about Hawaiian Hideout here along South Wabash. They say their sales revenue is down. Listen to this, 35% from over the last 3 days. This as a result of street closures now that were in place for NASCAR. Tens of thousands of fans landed in Grant Park for the 2-day race and music festival. Last year was deemed the second most impactful Chicago Sports Commission event. A study by Temple University found the street race created 750 jobs, generating $8.3 million in local and state taxes, attracting 47,000 spectators, most of whom traveled from outside Chicago to attend the race. Now, with all that said, restaurant owner Betty Lafka says her business suffered. even for those 2 days, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you did not have an influx of people coming in?
No, not at all. I wish. I really wish. I mean, even prior to the actual NASCAR event, they had street closures, so that prevented a lot of our deliveries from going up north. So it's just, with the city of Chicago in terms of parking, I really wish that they would have allowed parking available for the Michigan, Wabash, and as well as state.
And those tow zone signs here along south of Wabash remain in place until 7 p.m. tonight. The jury is still out on how much money the city generated this year from hotel stays, travel, and other accommodations.
Doctors say this is very exciting news, and they are cautiously optimistic that this could be a pathway for not only curing but reversing the effects of lupus. Researchers at Northwestern Medicine and Brigham and Women's Hospital say they've discovered a root cause of lupus. It's an autoimmune disease that affects more than 1.5 million people. Until now, the cause was unclear. A new study published today in the journal Nature outlines a clear pathway for how this disease likely develops. It points to specific abnormalities in the immune system and a chemical imbalance.
It turns out that we found a chemical imbalance in patients with lupus that we think explains a fundamental part of how the disease develops. And what was really interesting was in our studies, if we can correct this chemical balance, it seemed to have a huge impact on the cells that make up the disease. And so in short, we're really excited that we have a potential cause for lupus, and there's an obvious way to potentially treat it.
So until now, lupus has been treated by using immunosuppressant drugs, which can have some pretty harsh side effects because they can diminish the immune system, impacting organs. A new treatment would involve specifically targeting only the cells that are causing lupus, but the new treatments could go even further by reprogramming those cells.
So what would be really cool is if we can take the cells that are causing disease and injury, and if we can actually make it so they can help repair the organs that are damaged, this kind of flipping molecular switch could be really critical for healing the damage that lupus caused.
Now, even though this appears to be a breakthrough, doctors still need to undergo clinical trials, and it could take some time, but they are feeling optimistic that the majority of lupus patients would benefit from these newer targeted treatments.
A crew of NASA scientists have emerged from a simulation of Mars after spending over a year in the fake red planet. It started back in June of 2023 when 4 crew members entered a 17,000 square foot 3D printed habitat. This mission was the first of NASA's Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog programs. They aim to collect data on challenges that future astronauts could face on a manned mission, and that includes Mars walks, communication delays, and growing and harvesting vegetables.
The path to Mars is beset with challenges, and the crew and their families have committed a year of their lives in service to NASA, to the country, and to humanity's exploration of space.
NASA says there's still a lot to learn. There are 2 more missions like this one scheduled. And one of the men on that mission who just emerged is a Springfield ER doctor.
Fox 32, home of the draft.
I am so excited.
Training camp. The fans. The Fox 32 sports team. Fox 32, your home of the Bears.
I gotta tell you, working for Fox 32 often yields me getting the experience of my life. But yesterday was just that, because it wasn't just the professional drivers that were driving along this course yesterday. I got to go in a ride in an actual NASCAR pace car to sort of know what this track felt like for the drivers. It was a little bit sunnier when I got to take the track yesterday morning, and a lot of it had to do, believe it or not, with an upcoming Marvel movie. Take a look. Hey, what's up, guys? Jake Hamilton here. NASCAR has invaded Chicago. We are right on turn 12, and the reason we're here, Marvel has a new movie coming out. It's called Deadpool and Wolverine. It's all about an unlikely pair of friends going on an adventure. So Marvel and NASCAR thought the most unlikely pairing of all would be me inside one of the pace cars. Check it out. All right, Darwin, tell me a little bit about what it is we're doing right now.
We are doing some pace car rides this morning, so we are just now crossing the start-finish line. So yeah.
For people who maybe don't know the whole how a race works, can you explain a little bit of what a pace car is?
A pace car, it paces the field, right? So it kind of monitors. Look at that first. We're in turn one right now.
You can feel it.
Yeah. It makes sure our guys they can't go over a certain amount. So
sure.
they, when a caution comes out, they go get them and make sure that they're not exceeding that caution speed. And then they also help set that pace prior to going green.
I got to tell you, I've driven toward the Field Museum a million times in my life. I've never done it like this before. I would imagine you've probably done the pace car and all around the country,
Correct.
all around the world.
Correct.
How does this compare to some of the other ones that you've done?
It's just I'm on the street, right?
Right?
It's crazy. There's a street light right there to my left. I'm not using my blinker right now when I'm making a right-hand turn.
To be fair, that's most of Chicago, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I'm from Florida.
Yeah,
so,
okay, so you know.
Give me one more drink and then I'll leave. Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now. Look, lady, I'm not interested.
All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tick, so upsy daisy.
This is unbelievable. How do you feel like the drivers are responding to this? Because this feels like a really kind of once-in-a-lifetime sort of opportunity.
Yeah, I talked to some of the guys, and they're like, they were, questioning it, obviously, before we got here last year. But they got out here, and it was great racing, and to be able to, go at speed, but also see some buildings like this, the skyline in Chicago is just absurd, right?
I gotta tell you, I saw some of the shots from Saturday, and I just thought, that's gorgeous. I've never seen a race like that before, but I gotta tell you, it's nothing compared to actually being on the road. So, this has gotta be a little bit, how much prep do they do to get ready for something like this? Because they gotta know the turns, they gotta know where they're going.
Yeah, no, this is, any road course that we go to is going to have additional work, right?
This is unbelievable. So we are going down Michigan Avenue right now. Again, a road that I've been down a million times, but I don't think I'll ever go down it like this ever again. This is unbelievable.
So we just took that turn.
You're really good at this, by the way.
I actually haven't driven it that much.
Have you really
imagine,
not?
Right?
You never know.
We haven't had the track that long, right? We just
That's
built
true.
it, right?
Well, so that's actually a good point. How do you even prepare for something like this? Whenever it's sort of a new track and it's not one that you guys are working with that often, how do you prepare for this?
So for me, I'm not a driver.
Sure.
But the drivers, they do have a lot of technology, and they have those the simulators. So they're able to get everything that they need on a simulator and practice.
Wow.
And obviously it's not the same, but it's pretty daggum close.
That's unbelievable.
And now we are coming in here at turn 12, going a little slow.
We're going again.
Yeah. What do you think?
That was unbelievable.
Yeah?
You ever get sick of that?
No. Why would I?
Well, I'm saying, how could you not?
Adrenaline, right?
was
Talk about a Sunday
awesome.
morning drive.
I got to tell you, now from here on out, getting in my Bronco and driving around, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be a little bit lamer compared to what we just did.
Just think about us when you're going down.
I'm feeling like the need for speed is in the blood right now. That was awesome. Thank you so much to Marvel and NASCAR for this once-in-a-lifetime experience. You can check out Deadpool and Wolverine when it hits theaters on July 26th.
Tuesday, what do they know?
This has something to do with bioterrorism.
Strange and Suspicious, the show that digs into the unexplained and unsolved.
He's in the river, no pants, no boots. What if he was being followed?
Weirdest stories in the world.
A brand new series launching today digs deeper into some of the unexplained and unsolved stories from all over the globe.
It's called Strange and Suspicious, and TMZ host Harvey Levin joining us right now to tell us all about it. Good morning, Harvey. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, it's my pleasure, guys. How you doing?
Doing great. Tell us what inspired the start of this new series.
Well, I've just always been into this stuff, there are a lot of things that are unexplained and a lot of things that you should rightly be suspicious of. And we kind of packaged it all. So I'll give you some examples. Today we're getting into the Brian Kohberger case. We do true crime on the show. And there's something weird about this case, that how does one person who has allegedly never committed any kind of a violent act like this before walk into a house with 6 people and a dog that's on 3 levels and only armed with a knife, thinking he can essentially take people out one by one? There's something odd about it. We get into, obviously, UFOs. We get into children who say that they've experienced past lives, exorcisms. One of my favorites, guys, is there has been reporting, I know this is going to sound crazy, that there is a secret presidential detail that protects presidential poop, because if foreign adversaries get a hold of it, they can learn a lot about a president, including the president's health. So, we have a great new cast of, an archaeologist, a mathematician, a former LAPD cop, a PI, psychologist, true crime podcaster. We have 10 people who are just really, really interesting.
Now, Harvey, obviously you're an investigator by nature, so what is it that you're hoping that people maybe learn from some of these episodes?
Just, that these stories are out there, and it's just so hard to know with the way the media presents things these days, the fact that social media is so unreliable, that we really try to dig into it. And we're not embracing all of it, nor are we dismissing all of it, but we're getting into it. And these are really knowledgeable people. And with all of the cynicism out there, we try and give answers. And sometimes it ends up unclear, but at least you hear legit what both sides of the argument are.
I have no idea how I'm going to concentrate in this next segment, but I'm certainly going to try. The Big Ten Network is getting ready to host its 13th Big Ten 10K race this weekend. We've invited a few special guests to join us this morning. To get in the spirit, Dave Revson, the lead studio host for the Big Ten Network, joins us this morning. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, Brian. I mean, we can't do better than this, right?
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
For people participating in this 10K this weekend, what makes this race so special?
Well, it's a chance for Big Ten fans to gather. We're in the greatest summer city in America. We're right on the lake shore, right by Soldier Field, so I think that part of it is fun. You get a chance to wear your school colors, show your school pride. It's a wonderful race course. I've done it many times through the years. And then afterwards, there's a post-race tailgate party, which is a lot of fun. You get all the mascots, the cheer squads. You get lots of great swag that the alumni associations will give out. Roma Dunze is going to be there as the Grand Marshal. So this is it's really a great weekend to celebrate your school and to celebrate Big Ten pride.
And we got speaking of Big Ten pride, we got some special guests. Who all do we have here this morning?
Well, I would let them introduce themselves, but they have taken a vow of silence, as you know. They're like their own religious order. So we'll have to speak for them. But we have all the Big Ten mascots, and as you can see, we've got some new friends here
new friends from the
as
West
well.
Coast.
Yes, the Big Ten expanding to 18 teams starting on August 2nd. So we're excited to add those 4 new schools, and the mascots and the schools will be represented this weekend.
Just how cool of an opportunity is this for Big Ten fans to really get to see all their favorite teams and alumni all in one different place?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it is really a celebration of the Big Ten, and the Big Ten, again, is going to be bigger and better than ever. But I cannot tell you what a wonderful event this is. We've got 8,000 runners
8,000, wow.
signed up. So if you're one of those 8,000, we can't wait to see you down there tomorrow. If you're not, though, I would still encourage people to come because of the tailgate and the whole experience, just kind of the aura.
And where's that tailgate going to be again?
It's again in the south parking lot of Soldier Field, so right there, right in the heart of it all on the lakefront, and it's a wonderful day.
It's going to be so much fun. You said you've run the race in the past. What do you think is in store for those runners?
It's a tremendous course. I mean, to me, there are some who obviously are very competitive and want to hit a time or whatever, but for the rest of us, I think it's just a chance to go out there, to be with family or friends, to be with fellow alums, and run along the lakefront. I mean, just what could be better? You
cannot beat it here in the city of Chicago. Obviously, a lot of Big Ten fans here. What do you think makes the Big Ten the best conference in the country?
Oh, man, how much time do we have?
We got a long morning show. So.
Great schools, great fans, great alumni bases, incredible student athletes. I mean, I just think the whole thing, the venues are amazing. This is our 18th year of the Big Ten Network. I was here at the very beginning, so it's been amazing to see the network grow. But I think the big thing is just the connection between alums and their schools. People feel so much school pride. I'm sure you can say that everywhere else in the country, but obviously I'm biased, and we've just seen it through the years how deeply embedded these schools are with the fans and the alums. And again, this weekend is a chance to experience a little portion of that.
Right here in the city of Chicago. We're having a great time. Thank you guys so much for being here this morning.
I don't even know what I'm seeing at this point. We're at the Battle of the Big Butts out here in West Aurora. There's a watermelon eating contest going on as we speak. In case you didn't know, the Battle of the Big Butts. Battle of the Big Butts is a football competition, but most of them look forward to the watermelon eating portion of this. We are not going to watch this for 60 seconds. So let's listen into a Glenbard East Jr. and we'll come back to this.
Really measures like your strength and stuff. So like really get so you can like tell how much you need to get better and see how much stronger you can get.
All right, so there's about 30 high schools participating in this year's competition. 6 events: medicine ball toss, tire flip, the 40-yard dash. Every player, every team gets to send someone down to the watermelon eating contest. Let's listen into what one coach, how he describes the watermelon eating contest.
They enjoy the watermelon eating contest. I'm not a real big fan because I don't like to see big fat guys with their shirts off getting watermelon all over them.
But it's all in good fun.
Yeah, it is. And and again, it's important to the guys too, believe it or not, that win the watermelon contest. It's bragging rights for when we go back to camp tomorrow.
All right, they're still going, but it's almost over. We got to listen for it. It's almost over. Here it comes. Ugh, you guys. So they get a quarter of a watermelon. They get 60 seconds. Look at what they do to this. Look at this. That's disgusting. Look at this. All right, we are at the Battle of the Big Butts out here in West Aurora. It's good, clean, sort of fun.
This has been your Fox 32 Week in Review. See you around next week. See Chicago with a new perspective. Join Fox 32's drone pilots for the ultimate Chicago tour. We'll see you at the Flight Club, streaming now at Fox 32 on Fox Local. Download and watch today.